Good morning and welcome to the Mining Business Leaders Podcast, where we delve into the core of what matters the most to business owners. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Reginald Andre, and our mission at the Mining Business Leaders Podcast is to empower, enlighten, and inspire entrepreneurs and business leaders just like you by sharing insights, strategies, and real-life stories from the heart of Miami's bustling business community. So whether you're just starting off or scaling to new heights, no pun intended there,
I like it.
We're here to guide you through every step. So today we have a special guest, Ken Scales. And as you guys know, although we're called the Miami Business Leaders Podcast, we go all across the U.S. to find people that we find is going to be helpful to help you with your business. So this morning we have Ken Scales from Scalesology. How are you doing today, Ken?
I'm good, Andre. How are you doing?
I'm well. Well, first of all, I got to first thank you so much for coming. We got the CEO and founder, so this is great because we're going to hear it and love to hear about how you started the company and things like that. But what state are you in right now?
I am currently in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, awesome. I've been to Chicago back in August in the Rosemont.
Yes, it's a great place to have some pizza if you enjoy pizza.
Yep, I love pizza. Awesome. So again, thank you so much for being here. And we talked about scaling, and it's no pun that your last name is Scale. So just kudos to your last name as well and how it matches your domain name as well.
Well, thank you. I think I changed my name, Scales, after I thought about Scalesology, and it used to be Hamburger, but Hamburger just didn't scale right, so I had to make it Ken Scales. No, jokingly aside, yeah, Scales and Scalesology kind of work together because, again, we're talking about the right kind of data insights, the right kind of technology, and scaling companies. So Scalesology it really worked, and of course, as you noted, my last name is Scales, so it worked out really well.
Awesome. Yep. So like you mentioned, we're going to be talking about data. So tell us about yourself and why did you start the company?
I've been working with different companies in software development in data and analytics for a while, kind of as a number two person helping grow other companies. And so when I started Scalesology, it was really trying to have a unique experience for both employees and clients. And the unique experience is, we've got some core values that are essential to what we do at Scalesology and really kind of govern how we conduct ourselves. For the clients, really, a lot of it has to do with, I thought we could do something better. I thought we could do something, and we are, doing something with data and analytics that could really help along that whole spectrum, the whole, what I call data and analytics lifecycle for clients, rather than just piecemealing a little bits of that. And so that's why Scalesology was born. And by the way, today is our 4th birthday. So
wow,
this is
perfect.
It's our birthday today. So pretty cool day to have this podcast.
Happy birthday. And I understand you have offices both in Chicago and Atlanta?
We do. Chicago, Atlanta, and Denver. So we started the Atlanta office this year and our Denver office this year, and we're continuing to kind of grow. So we have clients throughout the United States, and we have a couple of clients that are also operating in both the United States and in Europe.
Awesome. Okay. So let's talk about analytics. So, here at the Miami Business Leaders, our typical viewer would probably have anywhere from 20 to about 100 employees, and we have business owners, we have executives, and even just your office manager listening to this. So give us a 10,000-foot view of the problem that businesses have that also, just speaking in the green room with you, that they possibly don't even know that they have.
That's a great question. I mean, part of it, I think you have to first think about what I'll call that data analytics journey. And that data analytics journey is looking at, are you collecting the right information? Are you processing that information correctly? Are you centralizing that information? And are you taking that and then centralizing it for analysis, doing the analysis, getting those data insights, and then most importantly, deploying those insights into action? So that way your company can scale and grow. And so a lot of companies, I think what I see is that they're stuck, either bottlenecks in certain systems. They can't get information out of them, or they have applications that are great applications, but they have multiple that the company is using, and the data doesn't aggregate together. The systems don't talk to one another. So that tends to be a problem that we see commonly, and that we try to address with our clients.
Yeah. So like I'll give you an example. We have a client. Maybe we can just do a case study here where okay, awesome. So we have a client. They're a trucking company, and they have your typical QuickBooks or Peachtree accounting system. They have Microsoft Office suite, so they're on SharePoint. Then they have, being a trucking company, they have a logistics software that's specialized for them. Then they have the HR, and then they have a metric. So how does Scalology now put all of this together and help this business owner, make the decisions they need to know?
The first thing we'll do is just have a conversation. What are some of the insights that they really are looking to gain? Do they know? Do they not know? Right? So that kind of starts that. We then look at it, I'll call it data discovery, trying to really identify all those assets that you just mentioned. And then once we do that, it's like, okay, let's think about, do we need to put the data together in a way that's, for instance, we have some clients, just like you said, that in this client, if they're entering in the same data in multiple systems, well, then let's find a way where they enter it into one system, and then that data flows through the other parts of the systems. If they're looking at getting insights from more than one system, and of course, every system usually has a little bit of dashboards and things with it, but how do you aggregate that information? So sometimes we'll take that information and put it into like a database, data lake, and then we'll disseminate that into a dashboard using Tableau or Power BI, a SAS Visual Analytics, a lot of different things that custom you can do. But most importantly is taking that, putting it together, and so that way the insights and the data from one application or another application is then merged together for consistent KPIs that the company is looking, that they need to understand so they can grow.
That makes so much sense, because this particular trucking company, I would say they have about, not on the driver side, but just the office admin side, they have at least 30 employees. And I would say at least 2 employees, their full-time job is to go through all of these like hoops and things and steps to like say, okay, I got to go here, I got to grab this information, then I got to go here, grab this information, and every week I got to give a report to the executives. So it sounds like what you're saying is that we can now help, you can help now, for lack of better words, automate or provide a system where automate's a good word?
Automate's a great word. Okay. You hit it on the head.
Yeah. So provide that system where you can now, use that person to do something a little more meaningful, because now with technology, there's, what is that word? API, right? Where the API. Yeah. Explain that a little about what the APIs do. Application
Programming Interface. So a lot of times what happens, a lot of the applications that are built right now have these APIs, and these APIs are, in essence, they're hooks, they're web hooks, and they're the ability to let other, if you will, middleware or other types of applications grab that information and then put that into their application. And so a lot of modern applications now are already coming with very robust APIs with documentation that we use at Scalesology to create middleware and taking that information from one system to the other. So that's, and the other thing with the example you just gave, I'll just bring this up, is getting descriptive analytics, which is really what's looking at the past, is one of the great first steps. But then you can get into predictive modeling. You can get into, so there's so many other things that as you grow and scale, you can now then look at it and say, for this trucking company, what about routing optimization? What about looking at this customer segmentation analysis? So there's some really cool things that if you're growing into new markets, if you're looking at routing optimization, we've done that with some other parts of our clients that are in the logistics industry. Those are things that you can then take that information and continue to build upon that descriptive statistics or descriptive analytics of the past that is so key, but then you can continue to grow and tell even more of the story of how you can grow your company.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because again, just going back, I'm thinking of those 2 staff members right now, and they're like going crazy, and their time can be used so much better. And even then, that information, they're just looking, like you just said, they're looking at old information, historic, but it's nothing to help them, for new routing or new paths or new industries or new locations. It can't do any of that predictive modeling. So that's awesome. And I recall back in the days, right? I'm over 40 now. A lot of these softwares were closed. So is it safe to say now that these applications, they now allow these type of webhooks?
Most of the newer applications do, but there are still a lot of, I'll say, legacy applications that are out there that are very good applications. But and for a lot of companies, they don't need to change because they're working just fine with those applications. That's when you might have to use some different techniques to grab that information and do exactly what we're still talking about. Grab it and put that into another application or into a data lake or something like that. There are different ways to do it. But most of the time, I'll say modern applications, one of the applications that are built recently have those APIs. And because what those companies are realizing is they're really good at what they do, but they don't have to do everything. And so there's companies that are already using other applications. Why not share that information? Especially for small and mid-sized businesses. It's really key.
Yeah, and a lot of times now, in this particular trucking company, I guess this will be a case study for the trucking company. I'm going to be sure the owner listens to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but thankfully everything is in the cloud too, so I'm sure that makes it a much easier. Because like with those legacy applications, and they never did the updates, they're not getting support. It'll be maybe a little more difficult. But that's great because again, how do we make sure that we maximize our people's time with technology? So I love that. So now another thing, which we're going to go back to this trucking company, is that, and I'm sure every client has it, is that we have so much unstructured data. We're talking about videos, pictures, emails. So talk about how Scalesology can help with that and those type of needs that those business owners have.
Yeah, that's a great question. Here at Scalesology, we get those questions all the time because a lot of people talk about data warehouses, which are great for structured data. But what you're talking about there with social media posts, with emails, with videos, with pictures, again, unstructured data. So in that case, we look at a data lake. And a data lake really is comprised of ways that you can deposit all of that information and then tag it in a way that's then referenceable. And so a data lake is exactly what we would recommend in a situation like that. We grab the unstructured data and then we find different ways to use it. I mean, in the past, we've created fuzzy logic algorithms that we've used to index information and grab certain other kinds of information, look for keywords, look for key kinds of posts. So those are things that that's what we would do at Scalesology to help our friend in the trucking company.
Okay. Yeah, because for example, at the end of a route, the driver has to take a picture of, showing that the truck is, empty, that it's the pallets are there, that, the client or the receiving person gives a thumbs up, all of this documentation that they have. But I'm sure there's like a way where, going back to those webhooks, where part of the report or invoice or something like that, it would just be so cool for it to all be when the end user, their client gets the email, it has all of this information.
Absolutely. I mean, you can aggregate all this information and then you can create easy ways to take that information and then push it into those applications where you want then the customer to see it. And so that is all very possible with a lot of and what we do with a lot of our clients here at Scalesology.
Yeah. So I see a lot of people have come on the tail end, but just first wanted to welcome everybody. We are the Miami Business Leaders, and we have Ken Scales, and we are talking about how to utilize the technology and with all of this data and all of the different departments that you have, and just trying to make this really like kind of a real world scenario. So we've been using one of our clients that's a logistics and trucking company here in South Florida, and just seeing like a business owner, you don't have to have someone going through all of these different tabs and applications to give your report, or you're just kind of getting half reports because these applications aren't talking to each other. So that's kind of what we're talking about. So we just wanted to welcome everybody. And if anybody has any questions for Ken, go ahead and drop them in the comments and put your name, and we'll be sure to put it out there. So Ted, let's talk about AI, right?
AI, love it. Yeah, sure.
So
Everyone's talking about AI, right?
everybody's talking about AI. Is
Right.
is is this AI what you're talking what we've been talking about so far?
No, and what we've been talking about is more of a data integration, data aggregation, application integration kind of a thing, and getting insights out of data. And a lot of folks, I think, are they might talk about that as AI, but it's old school stuff, machine learning and things like that we've been doing for years. So that's AI is exactly what you think, artificial intelligence, and it's actually in many different forms. Everyone's talking more about ChatGPT right now as a
Right.
chatbot, and but there's other forms in robotics, there's other forms in smart grids, there's other forms in Watson, IBM put something like that out, and that was more of a cognitive neuroscience kind of AI. So there's lots of different forms of AI right now, and it's really important to just kind of understand what are you going to use AI for, and is that AI constructed in a way that it's intended for you to use it, and that's going to make sure you can maximize how you're using AI today.
So Ken, you've been doing this before AI was even cool, right?
Yes, I've been doing it with maybe a little nerdish, you might say, but yes, I'm maybe being nerdy is cool now. Hopefully, so it's all right.
And that's kind of the reason I mentioned it, because going back to what we're talking about is how do we use the technology to make your business more efficient. And again, the buzzword right now is AI. Everybody's talking about it. ChatGPT, you can upload documents and put keywords, and it's going to help you cipher all of that. But there's so much more to that buzz into what you're doing, because we're talking about like real buildable, scalable, specific. Like I would just say, what ChatGPT is like a sip. It's like a little taste of a candy of what you and your company can do.
Yeah, we do a lot with machine. We've been doing things with machine learning models for a long time. And, with ChatGPT and things like that, that's a large language model. That's what it is. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that because that's what most people kind of know. And so if you're doing things with social media, it's a great, it'll help you write posts. It'll help you write maybe some blog articles. It'll help you do some other things. The thing is just to be aware of where that data is going. So, with a ChatGPT or anything open source is, I don't know if it was on me or your end, but I'll repeat myself. If the data is, you just want to make sure if you're using an AI chatbot that your data is in a secure way, or you're not putting any IP or anything secure in there. What we're doing now is we're deploying AI chatbots in private clouds for clients. And so that way they can have their cake and eat it too. They can use it for, like you said, taking information and putting into PDFs, into spreadsheets, writing blog articles, writing those posts, the things folks are doing in ChatGPT, but it's in a secure private cloud area. And so I think that's kind of where the wave of the future with a lot of the chatbot AI is going right now.
That makes sense. Yeah, because if you read those privacy concerns, and I even remember GPT was on the news because they did have some type of compromise that they claim, wasn't, didn't divulge any information. But I always like to tell my clients, if you are using something that's free, you are the product. And I'm sure somewhere in their terms and condition has something to say that they can use this to better their product. And the last thing you want is your confidential information, especially if you have, well, first of all, you should never put confidential information in there. But if you are, or just putting things that you rather not be out in the public, this is just another example of how you can use that. So that's good to know, Ken, because I didn't even know that was one of your offerings, is to do those internal chat bots. And let's maybe dive, since we're good on time, we have about 5-10 minutes left. And again, because AI is the big word there, can we dive a little deeper using that trucking company? And I'll kind of bat it up for you. But what we see sometimes with our clients is that they have new staff come in, and they are unsure which direction a file is, which path of a file is, what to do in a certain scenario, who to call. But let's talk about that internal chat box of when you have all of this data and you're talking about a company with hundreds and hundreds of employees, and now you have this employee who could truly spend an hour trying to find information. But when you have this internal chatbot, that again, going back to what your company can do and making sure that all of these things talk to each other, how can your company help with that and build something like that?
That's a great question. So in a scenario like that, most of the time, clients know what they want to see. They know the key performance indicators, KPIs, that they're going to be wanting to display, maybe even real time, or especially for a trucking company, right? They're going to want some of those key performance indicators in a key way. So part of that is, developing something where that information is almost in your face, readily available, where they can then click on it and drill down if they need to.
Right.
The AI or maybe specific, querying tools or things like that is where you might be doing some of that data exploration, and maybe you're trying to find something that you maybe that you don't know you don't have. Right. And so we help our clients with that quite a bit too, as far as looking at their data and exploring. Maybe there's kernels of information that will help their business, insights they might not even know. And so it really starts from understanding what are we really trying to, and maybe they don't know, but let's go back to the business, right? What are we trying to do as a business? How are we trying to grow? What are some key performance indicators that business is thinking about? And then and let's talk through that. That's when we can then gather the information they have, or perhaps even gather information they don't have, and consolidate that together to give really those data insights they need to grow and expand.
Yeah, and I think you summed it up perfectly, where it says you help people know what they don't have. That is awesome. So as we start to wrap up here, Ken, is there anything you'd like to offer a company out there that's wondering if they need this data analytics strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to just have a phone call, and we'll take some money off of one of our needs assessment or data discovery, just to kind of get you in the door, and let's have that conversation. And I reference this program, and we'll give a 15% discount on what we're going to offer. How about that? There you go. Massive discounts for you today.
There we go. And just so you guys know, this is not a paid advertisement. Ken didn't ask me. I actually asked Ken's team to hey, I really believe and know that my clients here at Arc Solvers, which we do cybersecurity and IT, this is something where again, because of AI, it's made it more prevalent, because usually the questions that clients are asking is, hey, can AI do this for me? And it's like, whoa, this is like a huge project. And this is, going back to the webhooks, and there's a lot more engineering time that's needed. And again, just going back to that example of that ChatGPT is just giving you that one little taste. But if you want that whole candy, you really need to level up and utilize someone like Ken's company. So this is why I said, Ken, we got to get on the podcast, because our clients need to hear this. So we're going to now convert this live, put it in our newsletter, and I'll have this as a reference, so that when I am talking to clients and I just see data and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you even process this? You have how many employees to do this? What? Let's talk about how you can automate it. And Ken, you're going to be on my Rolodex. So for those of you listening on the podcast, let me just go ahead and give the office number for Ken Scales, which is 678-845-8375. And you can always just go back to our YouTube page or our Facebook page, and you can listen to the recording there today, December the 20th. So what's your plans for Christmas, Ken?
My wife and I are going to be traveling to St. Augustine. We're going to visit a nice Hyatt property down there that my wife works for Hyatt. So we'll enjoy a little R&R and some sunshine.
Awesome, man. They always say St. Augustine is so beautiful this time of the year. So, and I'm here in Florida, so we'll at least be in the same state.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, this has been another episode of the Miami Business Leaders Podcast. We are actually going to be taking next week off for the Christmas break, but coming, I believe it's going to be the first week of January. We already have a great lineup, so please go ahead, and if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and put the alerts on so you'll be the first to know when we go live. Thank you again, everybody. This is Reginald Andre with Arc Solvers Cybersecurity and IT Services.